So we are going to go through a practice SOL. It is 50 some questions. We're not going to do all 50, but we're going to do enough questions that if you could understand this, you'll definitely pass the SOL. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let P represent two angles are vertical. So this is going to be our P. Let Q represent the angles are congruent. So what we want to do is we want to take a look at the statement below. It says if two angles are congruent, which is Q, then the angles are vertical, which is above our P. So what are we looking for? We're looking for a Q to be in the front and a P to be in the back. Q in the front, P in the back. So would not be this one because we have the squigglies. In this one, we have the negate, so we would have a not. That's not it. And this one isn't it. And so the answer is A. So on your paper, for number 1, you should have picked A. Question number 2. Give you a chance to look at it and read it and see what you think. Which point is on the perpendicular bisector? For this type of question, what you want to do is you want to get your ruler out on the SOL. And once you get the ruler out on the SOL, you want to go ahead and place your ruler. See if I can do it right here. Okay, so here we go. Here's the ruler, and I'm going to take the ruler and sit it on the line, straight on the line. And it says that it wants the point that's on the bisector of ST. Which point is on the perpendicular bisector? So it has to be in the middle of the line. So let me move this across. So take a look at point Y right here. Y is definitely not in the middle of that line. Let's take a look at Z. Z and W will be at the same spot, so that definitely is not going to be it. And so it's going to be X. And you could actually measure the line and then split it in half, but the answer to this question is going to be X. Use your ruler on the SOL. Okay, for this question, it says parallel lines. And so what I need you to know about parallel lines, when they're cut by a transversal, every other angle is going to be congruent. So a good way to think about it is we're going to do BH for Bruton High. Here's my large angle B, small angle right next to it is H. B, H, B, H, B, H. So if you look at it and you're going down, you're going to see that every other line or every other angle is alternating B and H, B and H. So all my B's are the same measures, all my H's are the same measures, but this is, which is not supplementary. So let's take a look at it. Take a look at 1 and 6. 1 is a B, H is a 6, so that is supplementary. Take a look at 3 and 8. 3 is a H, 8 is a B, that's supplementary. Let's look at 2 and 7. Oh, 2 is a H and 7 is an H. So that is not supplementary. Let's just look at 4 and 6. That is a B and an H. So that one is supplementary, but since it says not, be careful with that because it says not. The answer choice is C. Okay, with these type of questions, we want to make sure we read the question first. It says A and B need to be parallel. So the only thing we're worried about is A and B. So when I take a look at this first one, So when I take a look again, when I take a look at this first one, I've highlighted all of my lines for A and B. So I only need one more line. So I either need to highlight C or I need to highlight D. Well, when I look at this one, number one, I have information right here on C and information right here on D. So I'm not going to be able to just highlight one line and hit those two. So this one is not it. Here's A and B. I need to highlight just one more line. And if I highlight this line, I'm only touching the 60. I'm not touching the 120. So guess what? This is not it. Okay. When I highlight A and B here, and if I take and highlight line C, it does not touch my other information. So this is not it as well. When I take a look at this one, and I've already highlighted A and B, if I highlight line C, it grabs this angle and this angle, and they add up to 180, and so that's going to be my answer. So remember that when you do these type of questions. Always highlight the lines that they're giving you, and you highlight one more line. Okay, for these type of questions, here we see the word parallel. So we're going to do that whole BH. So one angle is going to be B and the next one is going to be H. So this one is B. And so the one right next to it is going to be H. The one right next to that is going to be B. Then the one right next to that is going to be H. And the one right next to that is going to be B. And the one right next to that is going to be H. Okay. So that means that if this is 61, the next one is going to be 180 minus 61, which is going to be 119. So this angle right here is 119. So if this one right here is 119, then this one is a B, it's going to be 61. This one is a H, it's going to be 119. This one is a B, it's going to be 61. And so they want to know the value of X, and X is 61. Okay, for this type of question, you got to pay attention to the vocabulary. They want to know the length, and length means that they want the distance. What is it you need to do? You need to know the distance formula. And the distance formula, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Go ahead and pause, figure out what it is, and then come back. Okay, so you got the coordinates here. So the coordinates of T is going to be 7 and negative 9. The coordinates of S, negative 1 and 8. When you put it in the distance formula, you get the square root of 353, which is choice D. Okay, if you see problems like this where they talk about integral coordinates, that means they don't want any answers as a decimal. And if it's going to be parallel to line T and pass through point P, then we need the same slope. So I'm going to pick 2 points here and here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a rise and a run. So I go up 1 and back 2. So rise 1 and run negative 2. So guess what? I need to do the same thing on this line. I need to rise up 1 and go over 2. So there we go. There is an integral point on the line. Okay, here's one of your construction problems. It says which best describes the construction in a diagram. So let's just take a look at it. We got line L here, and then there's a point here. This is not line P, it's point P. So the bisector of a line segment, it's not a bisector because bi means it's split into 2 congruent points. So that's definitely not it. A line segment congruent to a given line segment. This one, they're trying to say, is this one the same measure as this one? Well, if the arrows keep going, we can't measure it. So this one says a perpendicular to a given line at a point that is on the line. A perpendicular to a given line at a point on the line. Well, when I look at my given line, line L, because I don't have another name for a line, there's not a point on line L. So it can't be C. Perpendicular to a given line from a point not on that line. So here's line L, here's point P. We constructed a perpendicular and then we connected this line in between. So your correct answer is D. Try this one. Which is the inverse of the following statement? If the measure of an angle is 90, then it is a right angle. What are your thoughts? Well, hopefully you picked A. The measure of an angle is not inverse, insert not 90, then it is not a right angle. Here's one. When this figure is reflected across the line y equals x, we talked about this in our transformations. All we're going to do is we're going to switch the points. So since this is y is equal to x, we're going to change it and we're going to make it x is equal to y. So what are the coordinates of v prime? Well, let's find out the coordinates of v. V is 3, negative 8. Okay, so if we switch that, then v prime is going to be, put the negative 8 in the front and the 3 in the back. So we're looking at D. Good job. So for these type of problems, what you want to do is you want to take a look at the angle. So I'm going to go over this angle, and it's very large, so it's obtuse. And over here, this one is very large, so it is obtuse. And so these parallel lines, if they're parallel lines, these angles here must be congruent. So 3x plus 14 is equal to 143. See what you get and put it right in there. And x is equal to 43. This one, what is the slope? So you definitely need to know the slope formula. It's not given to you on the SOL. So here it is. So we have 5, 7, negative 3, and 3. So these are my y's. These are my x's. So I'm going to do 3 minus 7 over negative 3 minus 5. 3 minus 7, negative 4, negative 3, and negative 5 is negative 8. And we don't see that answer over here, which means we didn't simplify. So a negative over a negative is going to give me a positive, and 4 over 8 is going to give me 1/2. Please, these are some of the questions that you can do and get some quick, easy points on the SOL. Okay, this will be the last one for this video. X equals negative 1. Those lines go up and down. And y equals negative 2. Those lines go across. So let's find negative 1 is right here. And so this line will go up and down. And y equals negative 2 goes across like this. So a line of symmetry is going to split that figure down the middle. And that one is not being split down the middle. I mean, it looks like it for this first one right here, this line. But this line definitely does not split this figure down the middle. Let's take a look at the next one. X equals negative 1 is right here. And it goes up and down because it begins with an X. Y equals negative 2 goes across. So there you have it. What's your thoughts? And that one looks like it checks out. Let's do this one. Negative 1. And then this one right here. Well, the Y one going across looks like it splits it. But I'm concerned about the X one being right here. So if I go over 1, 2 to the right, if I go over 1, 2 to the left, I'm not at the end. So it's definitely not this one. It's not this one. The answer is C. Alrighty, that concludes video number 1, SOL practice number 1.